Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Snap Take. The number 7 card in the top 10 cards in Marvel Snap is the focus of today's video. My personal favorite card in the game, the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. Thanos is a 6/10 that puts 6 Infinity Stones into your deck. These 6 Infinity Stones are the real draw. They do various awesome things, including all the awesome variants. But Thanos is an absolutely bonkers phenomenal card. These stones offer a ton of benefit. From ramp to card movement to location control. These cards are absolutely stellar. The body himself of Thanos himself is not great, but if you're lucky enough to pull Thanos early in an early cache early on your pull 3 journey, Thanos can immediately take you to infinite. Um, Friend of the show, Derek, his son is 7 years old and has hit rank 85 playing a version of Thanos similar to this. He doesn't even really read locations, and he's capable of playing this deck to rank 85 or so. Now, here's what this deck does. This deck basically says all of my stones are big thanks to Blue Marvel and Khazar. Angela and Bishop get huge thanks to playing a ton of cards. If you see Devil Dinosaur is gigantic because all the stones draw except power, and Shang answers anything that otherwise doesn't get big enough. The deck is amazing. Um, Everything is fairly self-explanatory here. The only card you need that is pool 3 or higher, besides obviously Thanos, is Lockjaw. Lockjaw is really important for this version of the deck because throwing 1-drops into Lockjaw is a nice way to cheat out Khazar, Blue Marvel, Devil, and America. America is largely a consistency tool, but you're not sad to see her show up. Excuse me. These cards are fantastic in combination. This is a deck you should be familiar with from Pool 1. One of my favorite things to do with Thanos, part of the reason I like him so much, is you kind of just take other good decks and then you stick Thanos in, figure out what changes that makes, and you have a brand new T1 deck. For example, this Thanos deck won a tournament. This is a Deathwave deck or a Doomwave deck, as the case may be. Both decks you may see a little more of. We already talked about Wave as our number 10 card, but maybe some more cards from here will be on the list as we go. This deck basically just runs Lockjaw as a way to throw stones in and get all the other big stuff. On 4, you can play a Time Stone to grab extra energy to leech early and make their hand fairly useless. That's a snap condition. But ultimately, what Thanos does is it says, I have a ton of stones. If I can Killmonger all my stones and all their stuff, I've got a really cheap death at the end of the game. We've got the wave combo for the cheap death, or the cheap Death and Doom, the cheap She-Hulk and Doom. If that happens earlier because of a Lockjaw play, we've got Odin to double up that either wave or play some more Dooms. All of this is extremely, extremely powerful, as you can tell by the fact that this deck won a tournament. Thanos fundamentally says, oh, well, I've got all these tools that will help this other deck that isn't necessarily a Thanos deck in other ways succeed. I'll be playing and making a video on a different version of this going forward, as I think this deck is wildly interesting. This is fairly similar to the Zoo version, but instead of just running Zoo stuff, it's trying to sort of key off the Spectrum. It wants Spectrum to double all of your the power of add 2 to the power of basically everything on your board, and it runs a bunch of really good cards that keep priority and gaining power in order to do so. Thanos is again just an extra card here. It doesn't super matter. Valkyrie is absolutely amazing in that like all the ongoings aren't necessarily negatively affected by Valkyrie, so it's easy to win those lanes. Goose is amazing against the Red Skull meta that we're currently in. All the stones go right under there. Everything in this deck really works. It sings together. Um, I I'm working on a version of this deck with a friend, and stay tuned for more of that coming. But I think that this deck is absolutely amazing. The last Thanos deck we're going to highlight, and again, this is not the last Thanos deck. There are fundamentally an infinite version of number of Thanos decks because as soon as you have him, you can basically take most other non-Sarah archetypes and say, how would this work with Thanos? And it usually does. This is my favorite deck in the game. This is the control version of Thanos, where fundamentally you use Beast to pick up stones, Bass to make stones capable of winning, um, Daredevil to predict where on turn 5 to Professor X or Spider Man, or the Energy Stone to Professor X early, and then you use Valkyrie to clean up a lane, or Devil Dino to clean up a lane. This deck is extremely powerful. I've done a whole video on this deck, and on the Savage Yeti's YouTube, which is Savage Yeti Gaming, friend of the show, amazing human being. You can find me in his review of this deck with me playing the deck, piloting it, talking you through it. I love Thanos. I wish he could go higher, but you can see through most of these decks to really get the most out of him for anything but one particular deck. You really, really, really need multiple pull 3 cards and sometimes even more pull 4 cards. That is the only downside. There are Thanos Galactus decks. Thanos is absolutely incredible. My personal favorite card in the game right now, in a giant fight with Valkyrie for that throne. But Thanos is our number 7 card. Please remember to like and sub, and stay tuned tomorrow for the number 6 card in Marvel Snap.